top 10 most expensive cars in the world in 2017.
The number of supercars and hypercars is growing at a fast clip. That means competition for the most expensive car in the world title is also growing.
From the Lamborghini Veneno Roadster to the McLaren P1 to the Aston Martin Valkyrie, expensive.
High-ticket rarities are crowding the top of the market. Surprisingly, a most expensive car list is not as easy to make as you might think.
The prices for the most expensive cars fluctuate depending on customer build requests, which, among the buyers of the world's most expensive cars, can get rather baroque.
10. Koenigsegg Regera, $1.9 million.
Christian von Koenigsegg may be the most visionary privateer builder in the world today.
The many of the most expensive cars in the world, the price of the changes to match the complexity each customer's demands.
The Regera is built around a 5.0-liter twin-turbo V8 that pumps out 1,100 horsepower. Then, each of the rear wheels is assigned its own electric motor that push out around 700 horsepower.
Few innovations in the automobile have inspired as much envy as Koenigsegg's drive system, and that accounts for just a part of the exorbitant cost.
9. Ferrari LaFerrari Aperta, $2.2 million. The Ferrari LaFerrari stood out when it was first introduced at the 2013 Geneva Auto Show.
Despite the fact that it had to share the floor with a new Lamborghini Veneno and McLaren P1. It has a top speed of 217 miles per hour, crushed the track record at Muranello, and goes from 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. Unveiled at last year's Paris Auto Show, the Ferrari LaFerrari Aperta is the open-topped version of the fastest production Ferrari ever made. Literally meaning open, the Aperta differs from the hardtop, which was already expensive when it was first sold in 2013 or $1 million apiece, in a few crucial ways.
The Aperta uses the same revolutionary drivetrain to create around 1,000 horsepower, the mid-rear mounted 6.3-liter Ferrari F140 V12 coupled with its hypercars kinetic energy recapture system cribbed from its Formula One car. What Ferrari calls butterfly doors open at a slightly different angle. Also, look for revised wheel arches. 8. McLaren P1 GTR, $2.59 million.
Okay, so the McLaren P1 GTR isn't on the market anymore. And it never really was to begin with, since McLaren sold it out of the works.
And only 35 were made. It's also a track-only car. You'd think these factors would take the GTR out of contention.
Not so. A track car is still a car, and this one is a beauty. Built by McLaren Works as a 20th anniversary celebration of McLaren's win at Le Mans. And maintained by McLaren's Special Operations Department, the P1 GTR was sold only in pounds for £1.9 million.
It travels 225 miles per hour at the high end and goes from 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds.
2007. Bugatti Chiron, $2.9 million.
When, as legend has it, former VW czar Ferdinand Piëch demanded that Bugatti make the fastest car in the world.
The masterminds in Mulsanne conjured the Veyron, an insectile example of aerospace colliding with automotive engineering that traveled a laughable 268 miles per hour.
Its W16, 1001 horsepower engine jacked up the cost to $1.5 million, and the 4-turbo wastegates were louder than most modern engines.
The Veyron, once among the most expensive cars in the world, is gone. In its place, the Bugatti Chiron, an even more expensive Bugatti. It has tinkered and futzed until the output is now 1,500 horsepower, 300 more than even the Super Sport, the fastest model of the Veyron.
The Chiron's top speed has been limited to just 261 miles per hour on the road. Its actual top speed has reportedly not yet been tested. But the wealthy and wilding are lining up to set the mark.
6. Pagani Huayra BC, $2.8 million.
For those among you who didn't think it could get more extreme than the Pagani Huayra, we give you the Huayra BC. The most expensive Pagani ever made. The BC stands for Benny Caiola, an Italian investor who may have owned one of the best collections of Ferraris in the world.
Caiola was one of Horacio Pagani's oldest friends and mentors, and this car takes Pagani's obsessive approach to detail to even more mental levels.
The engine is still sourced from AMG, and remains a 6.0-liter V12 bi-turbo that's been tuned by Pagani's demonic shock gnomes to bring you 790 horsepower and 811 pounds-to-foot of torque.
All of this sorcery is run through tripod drive shafts developed through Le Mans' prototype program to the rear wheels by way of a 7-speed X-Track transmission.
Each shift in this dynamic transmission has been tuned from the standard Huayra 150 milliseconds to the BC's 75. That's taking a fast shift time and slashing it in half.
5. Ferrari Pininfarina Sergio, $3 million.
Only 6 of these preposterous Ferraris were ever made. The very expensive Ferrari Pininfarina Sergio was created in homage to the famed son of the founder of Pininfarina the year that he died.
It was originally presented as a concept car in 2013. The Sergio grew on Ferrari just enough for them to green-light a 6-car production run based on the Ferrari 458 Spider.
Thanks to an all-carbon fiber frame, the handmade Sergio is a full 330 pounds lighter than the already waif-like 458. Arranged in a 2-seat configuration.
It takes the open-air concept even further. Where the Ferrari 458 Spider has no roof, the Sergio has no roof, no side windows, and windshield.
That makes the force of this naturally aspirated 4.5-liter F136F V8 engine, the same one used the 458 Spider, all the more forceful.
4. Aston Martin Valkyrie, $3 million.
There is no announced price for the Aston Martin Valkyrie yet. But a reliable source said that if we put $3 million, we'd be about right.
This car, until recently known as the Aston Martin Red Bull AM Airbay 001, is a culmination of sorts of Aston Martin's visionary new president, Andy Palmer, who has ushered Aston Martin into a new age of solvency and relevance with a series of killer cars. The Valkyrie is the most killer car of all.
The engine will be a 6.5-liter, naturally aspirated V12 tailored to the frame by Cosworth, and was made to achieve the magical 1:1 power-to-weight ratio.
The Valkyrie is not a car for casual buyers of supercars. Mark Reichman, Aston Martin's designer, said the car, which has a Rimac-built hybrid battery system installed along with the engine, will make about 1,000 horsepower.
Three. Lamborghini Veneno Roadster, $3.3 million.
The Veneno Roadster is the most expensive production Lamborghini on the road today.
It's actually $500,000 more expensive than the coupe version of the Veneno. That's a lot of cash for a little less roof above your head.
How can you explain a cost well north of $3 million? Look at the build of this open-top two-seater. The monocoque is lifted from the LP704 Aventador, except this one is made from carbon fiber.
Atop this is bolted a 740 horsepower, 6.5-liter V12 with a 7-speed single-clutch ISR automated manual transmission, the same one found in the Veneno coupe.
It's a tricky transmission, and one that gets a lot of heat among aficionados. If there's room for improvement in a car that costs more than a private jet share.
The transmission would be the place. The sprung portion of the Veneno is placed atop a pushrod-actuated suspension.
And even though it's driven by a full all-wheel drive system, the total dry weight of this carbon fiber gem is just 3,285 pounds.
2. Lykan Hypersport, $3.4 million.
Built by W Motors, the Lykan Hypersport is legitimately the first Arab supercar. We know this because W Motors is based in Lebanon.
But also because the Hypersport is reckoned to be the first car to have headlights with embedded jewels. There are titanium LED blades that have a total of 420 15-carat diamonds. However, according to Lykan, buyers have also selected rubies, diamonds, yellow diamonds, and sapphires.
The rest of the car? Fine. It's powered by a mid-rear mounted, twin-turbo 3.8-liter flat six-boxer that fires about 780 horsepower through the rear wheels. It's 0 to 62 in 2.8 seconds and has a blistering top speed of 240 miles per hour.
But really, the headlights are made with 240 15-carat diamonds. And that's what makes this one of the most expensive cars in the world.
1. McLaren P1 LM, $3.7 million.
The McLaren P1 LM is the most expensive car in the world in 2017. Go ahead and dispute it, because you can. But first, consider the caveats. McLaren didn't actually build this car. They built the original P1, which was then acquired by Lonsanti Motorsports.
which painstakingly rebuilt the P1, transforming a near-perfect supercar into a definitive work of art that will one day be remembered as a crowning achievement of all humanity.
It takes cues from the McLaren P1 GTR, see above, and the storied McLaren F1 road car. Like the F1, the LM has gold plating in the engine bay.
And the engine which the gold surrounds is a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8.
Combined with the 3 electric motors dispersed between the engine and the rear wheels, the P1 LM produces a heroic 1,000 horsepower. These details may not distinguish a car on this list, which has high power standards. The Lansandi distinguishes itself is in how smart it is.
The aerodynamics come to life on track. A modified rear wing and enlarged front splitter joined together with dive planes that generate an astounding 40% increase in downforce over the P1 GTR.